Hello and welcome back. I am your host, TNT, Taryn N Tarver. Today we have a magnificent show talking about relationships. We have a relationship expert. He deals with behavioral science of the mind as well as sex, and we want to talk about that and how that relates to you and your Christian walk, as well as we have this wonderful former beauty queen. Also, she works with Essence. She's a TV host. She's dynamic. She has been an author. The wonderful and the only Chance Cessna. We're glad to have you on the show. Welcome. So this relationship thing comes up no matter where people go. It's always a hot topic. And so I'm so glad to have you both on here. You just did a panel on sex and abstinence as practicing abstinence and being sex-free. And then I really want to dive into the mind and how it works, like what people are thinking in their brain, men and women, and where they're at and how to make this work and making good choices. So we have a lot to say. But with all of that, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dr. Rael, just for coming out. It is an honor to have you here. I mean, just everywhere that I see you and the big things that I see you doing, it is an honor to have you come to this show. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So what do you see in this day and age with the turn of the century? I know you go into churches and you have a dynamic way of kind of breaking down the truth about how Christians, the way that we're supposed to practice abstinence, the reality of the oops and what we do and how close we can get to the line and what we do, or even when you're kissing, what goes on in the brain. And if you can just kind of tell our listeners, like, what is going on with the woman and the man today and how we can actually try to live that godly lifestyle and try to honor God, or honoring God in the process. If you can just speak to that a little bit before I jump to Chance and let her talk about abstinence. Where are we at now?
Yeah, I think we have to understand more about why we do what we do from an eco-biopsychosocial and spiritual point of view. I think when we get that knowledge and understand our spirit and how it's connected and what we do biologically affects us spiritually too as well. And I think it's really important for us to understand those things. And by knowing those things, we could actually approach the relationship arena a little different, and to be more aware about what we're putting ourselves into. Just like you said, the kissing thing, right? Can I mention that?
Please, absolutely.
Yeah.
The process that goes on in the brain, what happens, and how you just don't arrive here by accidents, but realistically your brain goes into those. Just break it down. Go ahead. I don't want to steal
just like
that.
when we are trying to be celibate and in the relationship, but we put ourselves in situations that we aren't really aware of. And just like when people say, if you kiss, it could lead to things, right? And it is so true biologically and neurologically too as well, and understanding that when two people actually kiss, when a male and a female actually kiss, the female is actually receiving testosterone from the male's saliva. And that testosterone is actually the key to opening up arousal in the woman. So it goes into the pleasure center part of the brain, the caudate nucleus, the nucleus accumbens, the mesolimbic, dopaminergic part of the brain. And that part of the brain is the area that is the pleasure center, which opens up. And so when we say, you probably have some girlfriends that will say, girl, I'm going over this house, but I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to fool around.
I probably said that.
We're just going to kiss, right? That's the danger of
it.
Just that one kiss. And it's so powerful because not only does that kiss release dopamine in you too as well, an anticipation drug, and then serotonin. We're talking about all of these drugs that are given to us naturally by the laws of nature for couples, for married couples, right? And so what we're doing is that we're joining into these chemicals without being married, but we don't realize what's going to happen, right? And so if you are not in practice too as well, as a younger lady too, if you're not in practice to say no, it's that's why we find so many young ladies that are, end up having sex at a younger age, because when we talk about phenylethylamine, dopamine, serotonin, we talk about these drugs just by a kiss. It's kind of very challenging to say no, because the body is saying it goes through, it's time to procreate.
Right.
Because the minute that kiss happens, the minute that testosterone goes into the female, because this is what causes her to become what we call the tenting stage, vasogression. The vasogression is where, the vaginal canal, when things start to lubricate and everything. And I mean, that's why it's also a good reason for couples to kiss too, because it's important to help the woman become lubricated without using, KY jelly and all that stuff. Right. So that's why it's important. That's why I tell men it's really important to make sure that you do kiss your wife.
When you're married.
Yeah, when you're married. Yeah, because it helps lubrication too.
I have a huge question for you. So I hear a lot of times, like, men say that even after they've actually, had their oops, or, I've seen Christians, they say, the whole relationship changed after that one act. We tried to get back to abstinence. We tried to go back and revert, but we already, we engaged and we had sex. And so something chemically was different. And the guys say, she acted so crazy. Like, what is going on with her? And I have my kind of theory behind why that happens, because I feel like naturally God designed us to when in marriage that we're supposed to have sex frequently. You're supposed to want it regularly. It's not like, oh, I'll hook up with you here and I'll hook up with you there and maybe here and maybe there. No, God designs it. He said, husband and wife to come together and to be unified and to be one. I believe that it's warfare. I believe that it's closeness. I believe that it's unity. I believe the enemy hates marriage and he sends things after your marriage when you come in, because when two people are in agreement, I mean, what can you do? You can tear up the devil's kingdom. Two people can build anything when they're on the same page in character and in oneness and listening to one another and comfort and building up that strength. So I think the enemy fights marriage. I know he does. We all know that. He fights marriage so tough. So when you have people, the enemy's like, let's get them while they're married not to do it. Let's try to divide them. And then when they aren't married, he's like, let's get them to do it. Let's try to get them together. But then when they do that, something happens and the relationship kind of takes a change mentally. So what happens with the woman? Why does she act a little like, I want to know from a brain, a science,
you mean so attached?
So attached.
So
like,
attached?
what happens?
Why she's so attached
why
at that
then
time?
is there the attachment? I can say biblically, but I would like you to speak on like what happens then to the man and the woman afterwards that makes the relationship a bit different.
So when we talk about all those chemicals that I mentioned, right? One of the main neurotransmitter that's in our body that, and everybody's probably heard about it now, oxytocin, right? And that oxytocin is that bonding chemical, right? That actually bonds you to, it actually bonds you to your child, right? And when you're breastfeeding too as well, it bonds you. So when you're also being intimate as well, you release that oxytocin. And when you release that oxytocin, it bonds you to that person. And it also fools you into making you also believe that you are in love with this person. Because what the body is doing is yearning now. Because the body is saying, oh, I need that oxytocin. I want that oxytocin release, right? So it knows that it's that person that released that oxytocin in me, and you're thinking about that person, right? And you know nothing about that person, right? But all you know is that you're yearning for that person, right? And again, that's these chemicals that are meant for marriage. To keep us bonding yearning together. For each other and bonding together. And then we're talking about also smell. So when we're kissing and being intimate, we're also smelling. And what we're doing is we're smelling each other's DNA, each other's immune system is something that we call a major histocompatibility complex. And that's actually something that we do naturally when two people come together. Any living, breathing creature, animals, they do the same thing. The first thing they do when they come together is smell, right? So just like when, and you guys could probably remember this as married couples, when one significant other leaves the bed, goes to work, you find yourself gravitating over to the other side because that person's immune system is on the pillow and is on that side. and the pheromones. So you're smelling that pheromone. So all of this stuff is happening. You know, when I'm talking about the phenylethylamine and all of that, you know, you go into this euphoria, this altered state of consciousness, right? When you're intimate. And see, that's why you have to be totally careful, because now you like this person just based on those chemicals, right? And not based on understanding or knowing if you have some compatibility, that you did your homework to make sure that you know that this person definitely
right
at
for
least
you.
has the potential to be a mate with you.
And
Right?
speaking on that, like
Yeah.
Chance, like she's an amazing woman. Just, I mean, if you
Thank
ever get
you.
the chance to visit her website or her social media sites, you will find that this young lady has done so many dynamic things, just overcome lots of hurdles, obstacles. She was raised by her father because her mother passed away at a young age, and then she moved with $200 from Chicago to California and became an actor, and she's won pageants and she's done amazing things, and she also founded Christian Women in Entertainment, and it was awesome. We had a talk one time. I was there at the launching of it, and all the women were there, and it was a panel discussion, and she led it so perfectly. She said, you know, how many of you guys have had the ability to say no when you've been progressed by somebody in the industry that wanted to actually say, hey, I'll put you on this record, or I'll put you in this movie, or what have you. And then some few people said, they said, yes, me. I said no. But then she switched it. She said, so we're glad for all the rest of you that did that. Now, you people that didn't have enough power and you failed to it, and it's not that it's a bad thing, we want to hear your story. And it was a healing and it was a delivering moment, because this woman has been abstinent. She has been waiting for her husband. She believes God, but things, I mean, in the entertainment industry can be very, 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 very difficult.
Absolutely.
And so that moment was so amazing for us.
It was powerful.
Tearful and crying and
A lot of
healing.
tears, a lot of hugs.
Yes, just talk about that in the industry, and the wait and the purpose and waiting for the right mate and matching up. Can you just speak to that a little bit from what we've been talking about, Chance?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is you need to know who you are, and you need to know exactly who God created you to be. And the only way to discover that is to spend time getting to know God, developing an intimate relationship day by day. And what I love about my experience working in Hollywood, you know, being over Christian Women in Entertainment, and having this journey of being celibate and being abstinent, it's all been inspired by the perfect love of God. It's the love of God that draws sinners to repentance. And I'm a sinner saved by grace. God saved me. And being able to share that story of how God redeemed me and how God could redeem you too. And it's from that position and that place of love that I know that I love God, and God loved me first. When it comes to the Word of God, when it comes to what God instructs us in the Word, right? When it comes to waiting to have sex until marriage, God says no to something for us to say yes to something even better, something even sweeter, something even more beautiful. So God's no is for your protection, but it's for you for the doors to be open for you to receive the yes that God has in your future, the yes God has for your future mate, the yes God has for your future career, the yes God has for the future plans that he has for our lives, which are good plans to prosper us. So every decision I've made up until this point is driven by, first, the love of God, not by religious rules. I'm just doing this just to follow some structure, some plan when it comes to religion, but it's because I love God. Right. So I teach from that position of developing that relationship with God, and understanding who you are and whose you are, and knowing that you were chosen for this generation to be a world changer, to shake up systems, and to really be a forerunner and leader for the kingdom of God as we are here on earth to be his ambassadors.
Do you find that more people are, when they find out that you are abstaining from, that it's like it becomes a challenge to see, like, oh, maybe I can be the one? I mean, we were talking about this one, you know, at one moment, to find out, like, is it really that case, especially when it's a man and he's abstaining? I've heard that women are more the aggressor to try to get him, and then when it's a woman, yes, men do that too, but realistically, when it's a man, it's even more different. Do you find that as a millennial that men and women are abstaining, or what is their reaction to you when they find out that, you know, that you're abstaining, and how do they feel about that?
Yeah. Well, in today's culture, being a millennial and just in the society that we're in today, it is very foreign. It's foreign. It's a foreign experience. It's a foreign language. And it was very foreign for me at first in the beginning as well. So I can relate to that. When I first made a decision that I wanted to begin this journey, I call it a journey because it was filled with ups and downs and twists and turns of making a decision to abstain from sex. That was June 19th, 2011. But prior to that day, me making that commitment in my heart, like this is what I want to do, it was foreign for me. In the same way, it was different. I didn't think it was humanly possible for a human to wait that long. Like, I didn't think it was like, it just didn't make sense for me. Like, how are you going to wait? What if you never get married? You just going to be sitting up waiting all those years just waiting for your man? I'm like, I'm not going to be 90 just sitting up waiting for some man. So that was really hard for me to digest and understand, but it took me, developing that relationship with God and understanding first that if we go back to the beginning, if we look at the foundation in Genesis, that marriage is the first institution that God created. And we want to honor that institution. And in this day and age, people don't even believe in marriage anymore. People say we don't have to. We can just be partners. We can just be this. But I believe in the institution of marriage and that God created sex for marriage. And with that being said, in the Word of God, it talks about flee from sexual immorality, right? It talks about that in 1 Corinthians 6. Flee from sexual immorality because all other sins that we commit are outside of the body. But it says sex is the only sin that you commit that's inside of the body. The sin is inside of the body. So I'm like, well, I need to, if I'm going to choose to live my life for the Lord, I have to present my body as a living sacrifice. I got to present my body, my life as a living sacrifice, including all of its members. So my eye gates, what am I watching? What am I listening to? What am I doing with my members? And are my members honoring God and bringing me to a place where I can pursue holiness and walk in holiness?
I found that even when you fast, though, it becomes easier because you're killing your flesh. Think about it. When you,
I don't know
when,
if
but, I don't know about that, but sometimes I had to, there's times and seasons when I was coming into the notion like, this is what pleases God, and I fasted a whole lot to get to the place where my brain was like, okay, and God made a shift, and God was like, this is what I have for you, and this is what pleases Him. Like you said, it goes back to the love of God. But then again, there's the times when you're just like, you run into those moments that we were talking about with Rael, where it's like, oh, we're just gonna kiss, or there's this, that, and the other, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then the conviction. And so I found too that like sometimes when we're looking at who might be a potential partner or potential mate, we have to look at like not only character, like what's in their heart, how they think. Do you think similar? Are you guys like-minded with building? Sometimes you have to look at family structure, like how they believe what is their ideas of things. And then there's also the fact about character that's really important. But do they have what are they convicted about? Because some people don't have the Spirit of God yet dwelling in them as Lord. We all have God's Spirit, but do we have Him as Lord in our life and throne on our heart to where now it brings a conviction where I feel like there was things I used to be able to do that like I grew, and you know what I'm talking about? And that was okay over there. And like, I'm in a different season where like, that's not even okay, like right here. Yeah. And so I don't know I don't know. It changed. Something changed in me where I began to feel uncomfortable, where I'm not able to even do this, or like, will I even go out on a date? Will I even go out on a date? Right. Like, will I even let you touch my hand or whatever? It was strange. Like, I got into this place that I think there was a part of me that I wasn't concerned. I was concerned about myself too. Like, I just want to even put myself in a situation. Yeah. So, I think that it's really important for us to know, like when we're looking for a potential mate, what do you say? What do you guys, both of you, feel free to just jump in and over talk and all that good stuff. Yeah. Like, what are we really looking for in compatibility? How do we find that? Because truth be told, I had a man that was not a Christian that his character is absolutely, I love his character. I love his heart. Like I see where God is, is taking him, right? And he was like, you know what? I can't come between you and God. Me coming here. And that to me made me love this person so much. Like, this is amazing that I've had Christian men that did not do that, but he was willing to like, look, I'm able to be your friend. I'm able to do this great. I don't even want to try to step over there. And I was like, I look back, it was like Jesus when he was looking at them saying like, what kind of faith is this? Like, you would want to protect me with my relationship with my God? Do you even know how much God is in you? Like, how amazing. And that was like, I was like, you got to be the best man I've ever met. Like, it was so awesome that you wanted to protect me and my love for God. Go ahead.
I like that because there's something that I talk about a lot about being faithful to sin. And, you know, so we get into this boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and, you know, it's not so much that goeth into the mouth, but what cometh out of the mouth that defiles a man, right?
Right.
So we get into boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and we want to say, are you faithful to me? Right? And so we're really not talking about are you faithful to me morally in this relationship. We're really talking about when we say faithful, when we're saying are you faithful, we're really talking about sex. We're really talking about are you faithfully sexually to me, right? Are you're not going to have sin with somebody else, right? And so so what we're doing right now in these girlfriend-boyfriend relationships is that we're actually saying, I'm faithful to you, right? I'm faithful to you. So people used to ask me, why don't you ever say that term? You know, I was like, no, if I can't say that term to God by saying, God, I'm faithful to you by not having sex with her, with you, right? Then I'm not going to say it to you. Because the minute I say it to you, that I'm faithful sexually to you, you become what? You become my God.
Wow.
And God says, serve no other God before me, for I'm a what? Jealous God.
Yes.
Right? And so that's what it is. So what we're doing right now in these boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, we're actually honoring, we actually worshiping each other as gods.
I can second that. I totally agree with that. I was in a relationship in college, and I was dating this guy for about 2 years, and the relationship ended, and, you know, he was unfaithful in the relationship, and, you know, it happened that way. And I remember sitting down with a good girlfriend of mine, and we were having a conversation, and I was kind of venting to her, and she was like, did you make him an idol in your life? And I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't make him no idol. Like, because for me, I wasn't really, like, walking with God like that yet, so I didn't understand like idols and like making him my God. I didn't understand that, but it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm like, I made him an idol in my life. And an idol is anything that you chase, love, or pursue more than you do God, right? So the idol could be anything. So I did idolize that relationship. I did make him my God, and God showed me that, and he delivered me.
That's right. Yeah, because when things are happening in your life and God says, hey, why are you coming to me?
Yeah.
Go to your God. That's the person that you promised, that you said, I'm faithful into sin. I'm faithful into this. But you can't go to God and tell God that, then don't tell anybody that.
You know, Prophet Levi had given the scripture in James, and it was said, blessed are you when you fall into various diverse trials. And it talked about, you know, producing patience and let it have its work. He said, when you fall, he said, people miss that. When you fall, like, and you run back to God, you're like, I'm not perfect. You're like, I need you. You're like, I love you more than anything. I want to please you. And ultimately, I realize like the way I've learned to serve or have a servant heart or to give to somebody or care about somebody, it has gotten better only because I learned that from my relationship with God. I learned if he said to do something, I could do it. So if somebody asked me to do something, it's no problem. Submission, I'm submitting to you, so I should be able to submit to you. I'm concerned about you. I'm sensing the needs of the Father, and if I can sense his needs, I should be able to sense your needs as the husband. You know, if I had a husband, I could sense your needs, or if I'm courting or dating with somebody, I should be able to watch your body language and know the mood and be able to know the mood of God. If I can keep my word, if I can get up and spend time at 3 and 4 in the morning with God, I can spend time with you. I make you a priority, and it aligns, and the children get aligned. And so I learned from my relationship with God. And a lot of times people aren't really attracted to me or you. They're attracted to God in you.
That's right.
And they think they're in love with you, and they're really desiring the spiritual part of you, the spirit man of you. They like your spirit. They don't even know why they're attracted to you, but they want you. They really want God. you know?
The Spirit of God draws all men to you, right? That's what Scripture. It'll draw all men, white, black, blue, gay, straight, all men, because of the Spirit of God that's in you. So you're right.
That's right.
They recognize something.
Sapiosexual.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying the term sapiosexual, that's what we are attracted to one's intelligence, and we're attracted to one's spiritual intelligence, and that's what we feel, you know, because we're like, wait a minute, you know, I haven't said anything about the symmetric symmetry or the golden ratio, the face, the look, you know, the body shape. But it's something about that person, because we use that term, right? There's something about this, the sapiosexual, is that we're interested and we're turned on by that person's spiritual intelligence.
And you know, I'll just say,
Yeah.
like, when you can find someone that you can build with, you can walk with, that has similar like-minded character, that you guys can agree and you guys can do something great, it is a beautiful thing. Marriage is such a beautiful thing in the Lord, you know, and that's the goal, is to be able to please God in purpose together and fulfill your purpose together. And so I am just so glad that I had an opportunity to have Chance Cessna and Dr. Rael Sims, absolutely awesome. Definitely have to have you guys back on the show.
absolutely.
And you've helped a lot of people and enlightened them today with your words of wisdom.
Thank you.
I am your host, TNT, and you've been watching Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. We are excited to have you today because it's been an amazing show with our two wonderful guests talking about relationships. And we're believing God for you to have awesome relationships and that you will not settle for anything that is not what God has for you for his best. You don't have to compromise, and you guys can grow together. Remember that your timeline is somebody else's lifeline. I'm TNT. Have a great day.